Welcome back to Schmattz Outdoors, everyone. As usual, just getting ready to go for the morning. Quick morning for me here because I got everything pretty much ready to go last night, and we're going to show you that here in just a second. It's a nice brisk morning. It's 23 degrees according to my house thermometer here. That's the coldest it's supposed to get in basically the next like almost 10 days according to the forecast. So most of the lows are like above freezing. There's a couple around like 30 degrees, but then the highs in the low 50s. So that is a recipe to keep water open. If it's not below freezing, it's hard for the water to freeze. So it's going to be a little bit interesting this morning to see if there's any ice on the sloughs. And if there is, I imagine it's just going to be a skim around the edges. But yeah, like I said, it's the coldest morning, but it's fairly calm. There's almost no wind right now. So again, I don't know what that's going to do to my catches overnight because it was cold going into the night too. It was only like 35 degrees at 10 o'clock last night. So it's been cold all night. So I don't know, like the raccoons and skunks, if that's going to change their habits a little bit until, you know, the next few days when it warms back up again. I do have a chance for rain this afternoon. There's even some snow out to the west of me today. So I missed some snow to the east yesterday, and it looks like there's snow to the west today. So we'll see if any of that gets to here or not. I'm hoping it won't be snow if it gets here. That's the thing. It's going to turn into rain, but hoping to be most of the way done with the line by then. Today's the day we're going to load up the truck this afternoon and get set up for muskrat trapping. So I cleaned out the truck last night, or at least the box of the truck. I want to do some more on the inside to make some more room for stuff, but for water traps, I guess, not just stuff, water traps. So yeah, when I got done skinning last night, it was still light. The sun had set, but it was still light enough that I went through, kind of consolidated, minimized everything in the truck here. I don't know if this light's going to help you or not. There you go. So my Coyote bag, I went through all of the jars of bait. Some of them I only had, you know, just like maybe one set or two left. So I dumped that in the top of a brand new jar. You know, so I basically like have full jars of bait. Of all the baits, I didn't really mess with the lures because I'll use them until they're empty. And the urine I filled up. Peat moss I didn't fill, but I'm not too worried about that. I still have my pail in there, and I need to haul it around anyway because I only can make about 10 sets. Well, if I do happen to get a day like the other day when almost every animal is caught in a coyote set, one jug may not get me through the entire line. So put my glove back on here. Yeah, so I went through, and the reason why I did all that is because I had a square 5-gallon pail up here in the front that's how I store my bait and lure over from one year to the next. Well, I didn't want that in here, so now in this pail here, there's one of every lure and then one jar of bait in there, because this one here is like half full. So since there's too much in there to dump into a brand new jar, we're going to just leave that one, and I have one jar of extra in this pail here. Obviously I got my raccoon trapping pail, so I got cat food, the paste where I make, this is urine. I just dumped a bunch of extra golf balls in here. So if I do make some more sets, I have golf balls, or if I make catches, I lose the golf balls. In this box here, there's some Duke 4s, Montana 3s, some Bridger 3s, and then I put a dozen MB 550s on the top. So at least for the next few days, I don't plan on putting out any coyote sets, but I like to have the traps in case I do need them. Like if I have traps that are mudded up to the point I don't think they're going to work again, you have one run over like I did the other day. You know, like this guy, he's going to be kind of hard to set like that because the spring is actually broke on there. The frame is bent on both sides. It's bowed a little up and down. Yeah, that one's going to be hard to set. So if something like that happens, I want to have a few extra ones in here. And this one here in the bottom, there's white and brown dog proofs in the bottom. A couple 220s and a couple 260s on the top with a few H stands. And then these are Muskrat stretchers I'm actually trying out as conibear stands. So yeah, made a ton of room in here. Got lots of room for activities now. So yeah, tonight we're gonna load up. We need, you know, obviously 1.5s. We need 110s. I'm gonna try and get some floats in the backpack here. In my rack on the side, that thing, I'm gonna try and take my dispatch tools out of there and my stake driver, you know, and just set them in here, and then so I can load that thing up with muskrat poles. Because last year that was kind of the restricting factor, is I actually run out of poles sort of before I run out of time. I don't think that's going to be the case this year, just because the way my landline's going right now, I don't know, you know, we're only going to have maybe 4 hours of extra time to put sets out. So, but we're going to load up poles. I'm going to throw in some weights for mink drowners, portable pockets we're going to put in here. So I need like I got some number 11 traps we're going to use for pocket sets. We're going to try and get those stuffed in here someplace. So yeah, this thing's going to be pretty darn full by the time I leave tomorrow, or by tonight before I go to bed, because we're going to have all that loaded, ready to go. Inside, we're going to throw beaver gear behind the seat. And some colony traps. Again, I have a few spots that I have put colony traps in the past. We're going to make sure I have enough to get those out. And then as I'm going the next few days here, we'll probably throw in a few more if I find good spots for them as I'm setting line or whatever. If I don't have one, you know, tomorrow to put there, I'll make sure I have one the next day to get in there. So yeah, with all that said, like I said, I need to do a little more cleaning on the inside to make room for all that beaver gear in there. But otherwise, like I said, I think mentally I'm ready for the water season. Tomorrow we're probably going to be wearing my waders right from the go. I only got, you know, an hour maybe worth of traps to check before the water season, or before I get to some sloughs. So the few sets I have, I don't mind wearing my waders to do it. Then I don't have to try and change into my waders out on the line. Again, it's all about saving me time. So tomorrow, you know, an extra 5 minutes or 10 minutes of putting my waders on, you know, that could be 4 or 6 muskrat sets I can get out in those same 5 minutes. So it's all about efficiency on the line. So I want to make sure everything's dialed in tonight before I leave, or before I go to bed. So tomorrow when I'm running the line, I can show up, pop a set in and leave. Show up, pop a set in and leave. I don't want to be fiddling around out on the line again, putting waders on and everything else. So all right, I talked about that a little bit more than I probably should have, but so yeah, the truck's ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let's get out on the line. All right, guys, that didn't take long. You know, as I was driving out here, I was thinking, I think I've had a set out somewhere close to this location, you know, on this property for like 5 or 6 years. And I don't think, like, this is almost the second time that it's ever been set off. And yesterday was the first time it had been set off. A deer had stepped in this trap and set it off. So, you know, I remade it yesterday. So that's why we do the maintenance on the line, because can't catch any animals if your set's not working. And again, I just reset this yesterday. I was out here to do the maintenance check on it. So, and we got ourselves a big raccoon. I should have pulled my pickup for it just a skosh more, but yeah, so all I got, this is there's a drainage ditch right here. These trees, you're only seeing the top third of the trees. So it drops off down into a gully, and then it runs up there to the road, and then there's kind of a little chunk of more CRP here. And then on this end, it's just a draw, extends out into this field like another quarter of a mile or so. So a few brushy trees and whatever out there, but there's not a lot of habitat for anything. But I figured like coyotes, you know, would be running the downwind side. So I'm on the east side of this thing. I figured the coyotes may be running along this east edge, you know, wind checking. Yesterday, I chased some pheasants up right over here on the corner. So, but you can see this is not a coyote. I got myself a darn good sized raccoon caught in my coyote set. So that is a Duke number 4. I have a dozen of them. I don't use them all that often, but in a spot like this, I'm like, well, this is a set that I figured I wouldn't be remaking over and over again, so I don't mind using it. They just are so big. They take so much peat moss and everything else to get them covered. That is part of the reason why I don't like using them, but today it paid off. So again, we got a nice raccoon. He's got a few burrs kind of right here on this side. He's got a few burrs, but other than that, he's pretty darn nice, silvery looking, and he's pretty darn good size too. So glad to have him. Like I said, first catch of the morning. I'm only, I don't know, 7 or 8 traps in. I've caught down in the bottom of this gully down over here. I think I've got 2 skunks and 1 smaller raccoon over there already, and some dog proofs right in the bottom by the culvert there. So this is the kind of raccoon I'm after. Big silvery guys, adults, not the little guys, but you catch what comes by or what fiddles with your traps. So all right. One thing, this one here, I had a heck of a time digging a dirt hole. My auger wouldn't even drill into this ground because it's that hard. So I literally had like a couple of these dirt clumps kind of propped up to make a little hole kind of in front of my trap. So I made kind of a cubby out of dirt clumps almost to get my bait in there. So, but yeah. Well, and it looked like my bait had been stole out of this set too. So I rebaited it yesterday too, because it was only in a couple inches and it didn't look like nothing there. So maybe we got the bait thief and he come back for seconds, but today he'll be riding home with me. All right, my hands are getting cold already, so we're gonna get this set remade and get on our way. Like I said, we're only just a few traps in, so you never know what a cold day is gonna bring. All right, everyone, we're making catches again today. So I'm in this, sorry about that. I'm in this kind of abandoned farmyard here. I got a chicken coop, granary. I'm not even sure what this building is. The old house over here. Yesterday I had a skunk caught in the back of this chicken coop and just a blind set. And I come today and it looks like my set's all disturbed, and sure enough, let's see, I can't see him from in here. So my set was right in here, basically where there's a kind of a trail always goes into the back of this old chicken coop here. There's also a hole here, and I got that kind of blocked with a dog proof. But I got myself another skunk in here today. Again, I mean, if I can get him dispatched without spraying, it's awesome, but kind of sucks inside of a building. So let's see, we're gonna try and get in here and be quiet, because I can see him way in here. All right, so there is a skunk. He's laying right there. Again, he's just caught in 1.5. Just set up a 1.5 double jawed. I didn't mention that yesterday. So when I'm using a set like this, I like to have a double jawed trap. But yeah, got ourselves a skunk in here. Like I said, we're gonna have to be pretty careful. I don't want to get too close to him, and I don't want to talk too loud here. I'm hoping he'll stay right where he is so I can get him dispatched right there. Because if they can go in and out of that building, so that gets to be a little rodeo, because I'm in, he's out, I go out, he comes back in. So either that, he might be tangled up right there, which ain't a bad thing either. So, and I just got it tied off to these bunks, or well, I guess it's chicken roost thing that he's got set up in here. Yeah, so it's 2 days in a row. I think I've said it in the past, but catching skunks breeds catching more skunks, and There's like zero sign around this yard, really. There's no, the trail even here was like basically non-existent. It's just one of those, like, I always put that set there, so I put it there. This set, you know, only takes a couple minutes to put in. But yeah, and a couple skunks 2 days in a row. So we'll get him out of here and we'll get moved on again. Well, apparently every year I should be finding new spots to put traps, or quit being lazy and put them where I think they'd be good when in places I'm already driving by. So what we got here is a tree line. It really dead ends just right here. There's really nothing across the road there. And then it goes on up this way for a half mile. Then it catches a fence line going this way. Right over here, there's a slough. Yesterday, the farmer on the other side actually worked up probably 30 feet of weeds and stuff all the way along, and worked between the slough and the woods right over here too, where there was a bunch of weeds where they didn't get planted. And he's actually right over here working right now. But yeah, I figured that was only going to help my set, because that side wasn't worked. To me, that's the easier side for him to run on. I try to drive, right here's my tire track, you know, right by my sets, you know, to give the animals, I mean, this is a nice hard path, even though this bean ground's pretty good walking. But yeah, we had put a brand new set in this year. Like I said, I drive by here every stinking day. And for years and years, it's like, oh, I have a bunch of sets. I got 6 sets over here along the draws. And I'm like, oh, those should catch all the coyotes here. But I haven't got nothing over there yet. And I've got a raccoon now. And then this guy. Got a real nice, a big adult coyote. Well furred the way it looks. He's puffy. You know, up around his neck and everything. He looks beautiful. Doesn't look like he's got a burr in him. So caught deep in that MB 550. He's hiding now. When I first was driving up, I could see him standing here. When I drive by on the road over this way, I could see him standing here. As soon as I slowed down, bloop, weighed right down. And then as I come driving out, he was jumping around until I got right next to him. Then he weighed down like this. So it's like I didn't see him bouncing around 3 seconds before that. But so yeah, beautiful coyote. Like I said, a little colder morning. The wind did switch overnight to be in a south wind, which would be blowing, you know, from that direction this way. So it makes sense that the coyote would be running on this side of this. I'm using Gusto here, which is a real strong, skunky smelling lure, to try and blow my scent across this fence line if the wind is blowing the opposite way. So who knows when he got caught, whether the wind was still blowing that way or if he'd come by after the wind had switched. And they're going to typically run on the downwind side of everything. So they're scent checking, you know, catching deer scent or pheasant scent, rabbit scent, anything like that as they're running by. So, all right, we'll get him out of here. Glad to have him. A nice mixed bag in the truck already. You got a coyote, and a raccoon, and a skunk. So it's about the only 3 animals I seem to be able to catch this year, so we'll get him out of here and on the road. All right, everyone. Well, we're, you know, ways down the line from the last catch, from that last coyote, and we got ourselves another one. Boom. He's right here. Kind of giving me the weird back eye, stink eye look. I don't know. I don't know what that is, but what we had is just a dirt hole set right here on the corner of these pine trees. They run a half mile up, and then there's a big wildlife on that's on the other end, and then right here there's a fence line, and then there's this big wildlife that they burnt off, which I figured the sets are here because of this wildlife, and they burnt it off, so I didn't know how that was going to affect my catches out here. But this is the second coyote. I got a pipe dream set right over here that I caught a coyote in. The first coyote, I think maybe even the first check. And then over here by this little bushy tree, I have a dirt hole set over there. So yeah, I just had a dirt hole set here. Coyote looks like a younger coyote, caught deep in that MB 550. I don't think you hardly get any deeper than that the way it looks. And Yeah, I actually probably made this set better. It was not a great set because it was real lumpy like this in here, and I had a hard time getting my trap bedded and everything else. So this coyote, like I said, probably improved this set over what it was. So, and I put it out just a little bit so I can see it. So I checked these from up on top of this hill right here. You know, I can see all three of these. And that way I don't have to drive all the way down here every day in between them. Yesterday I did, because I was doing the maintenance day, come down just to make sure they were all working. And I give them all I did is just a little fresh squirt of urine on each one. And now today, bingo, coyote. So whether urine made a difference or not, but you know, apparently did on this coyote. So yeah, we'll get him out of here. And the weather's kind of turned a little bit. It rained pretty hard just a little bit ago. Now it's kind of half sleeting, half slush, half sprinkling kind of weather. So it's not terribly nice out here. So we'll get this guy out of here and get back in the warm truck, because I am cold now, or already, I guess, and I got to deal with him still. So all right. All right, guys, I apologize for any mooing that happens in the background here. I'm by the feedlot, so I mean, you can see the building. I had a coyote caught right about in here, one of the first checks. And then I think maybe the first check, I had a raccoon caught here. This is just a flat set. Running along the edge, so I'm on the west side of this tree line. Just the way everything works out here, I can't really set on that side very well. So it's a flat set. I'm using Castor and Gusto as my two lures here, you know, to blow through this tree line, and bingo. Today we got ourselves a pretty nice looking coyote. I think it's just a pup again from this year. But yeah, nice looking coyote. My set wasn't in the greatest of shape after I caught that raccoon, but he definitely has it leveled off nice and even now. I have plenty of debris here for a backer, and it'll be easy to remake. I wanted to make the point that this is one of the sets that I actually touched up yesterday. The trap was just basically uncovered, but the wind was blowing so strong and the dirt so dry that I think like my dirt's been blowing off the top of some of my traps, you know, because I've noticed a few of them that my peat moss was showing. But this one, it was all the way down to the pan cover, was basically just held down by the jaw of the trap holding it down. And basically the whole trap was sitting there exposed. So I come and I well, not really rebedded, but recovered the trap up, and I did re-lure it as long as I was here, and bingo. That's why you do a maintenance day right there. So 2 out of the 3 sets I really did any amount of work to yesterday. Both had catches. I had a big raccoon early on, and I got this coyote here. So yeah, pretty good day on the line. I did mention before I left the house, it was cold last night, like 23, 24 degrees. The colder it gets, I tend to see more coyote movement on my line and less raccoon and skunk movements. Well, that's sort of been the case today. So 3 coyotes and only 1 raccoon and 1 skunk so far, and I only have maybe 2 dozen traps left to check, if that. So yeah, coyotes were moving last night apparently, which is good. So stacking them up now. Got some skinning ahead of me. Yeah, we'll get this guy out of here. We'll get the set remade the best I can here, and off we go. All right, guys, still chugging through the line, making good progress. I mean, we're ahead of where I've been the last few days, but what we got is we got this edge of this slough back behind me here. It goes, you know, down and around over to a big chunk of wildlife over there. On this side of me, I got a bean field. They finally got combined. It's like the last bean field around. So I got a flat set right here, and I had a dirt hole set right here. one of the first days I had a pull out in this set, and I had the raccoon over there, and then I caught a skunk in this one a few days ago. I do have a dog proof sitting right over here in the corner that the golf ball was knocked off one day, and that was it. Otherwise, I don't know, the raccoons are still finding my coyote sets back here, so I mean, happy that he's still here, I guess. And hasn't pulled out. Yet not the biggest raccoon in the world, pretty decent color though. I mean, he's nice, silvery looking, well furred. The idea is, again, I can't trap the other side of this fence line, so that one there has a fairly skunky lure on there to kind of blow across. This is a little tamer set, just a double here. Last year I was catching coyotes left and right back here, so I thought we'll try a double set here, 2 sets next to each other. I don't do that in a lot of spots. And I don't know, you can't catch 2 at a time if you don't have 2 sets, I guess is the rule. But I also don't have enough traps to be running 2 traps at every location either, so, or really the time and effort to want to maintain that many. So yeah, nice raccoon here. Again, he's not the biggest raccoon. He's got a heck of a dirt hole made here. He's pretty clean, but he's got the ground pretty well mudded up here, so it's going to be hard to find some fresh dirt to sift here, which is sort of the problem of making sets here in a pasture. Is you get a little bit of dirt when you dig your first trap bed, but then after that I almost have no dirt to actually sift. So I mean, I have used pocket gopher mounds and other things to get me dirt over the years to sift. And now that it's wet and muddy because it's been off and on rain/snowing for the last hour here or more, that makes everything muddy, and then I don't want to sift either. So, but I guess that's my problem. We'll get this guy out of here and get moved on. Like I said, we don't have that many traps. These are basically the next traps, because right up here where these tall bins are, that's where that feedlot is. So basically the next traps after those, and we got ourselves a raccoon here. So turned out to be a pretty good day on the line again. I don't know, I'm a little concerned tomorrow. I'm starting water trapping, so I'll be putting some sets right here in this slough, and a bunch of sloughs. How much time I'm even going to have to make sets and run water sets if I'm making this many land catches. But I keep thinking they're going to slow down, and then every day I just keep picking up an animal here or there, and you end up having a pretty good run. I mean, I got, just kind of show you, we got 3 coyotes, 1 raccoon, and there's a skunk in the bag, and then we got this guy, so that's 6 catches already. Well, we're going to stand here with my back into the wind just because wind's blowing pretty good out here right now. I think most of the snow and rain is kind of let up. I don't know if it's all biased quite yet or not, but everything's wet and damp, and it's cold because the wind's blowing. What we got is a drainage ditch runs through this field. Got alfalfa over here. We got a land bridge across so they can get to this half of this field. And then this ditch runs around and it hits over here, about right in here, right about this area, over to that fence line, and then it runs along the fence line down to a slough. And yeah, this land bridge, I got 1 coyote set over here. I had a raccoon in, but here we go. Having a heck of a day, but this is the trophy of the day, even though he's pretty darn little. This set had been messed with like 3 days ago, and I tried to fix it up the best I could, but I couldn't get my trap bedded very solid. I wasn't happy with it when I left it, and I actually had planned on monking with this set today, because it's been bothering me ever since I redid it. I'm like, I should have just dug the whole trap up, redug my trap bed, made sure it was set and solid. But boom, the first fox of the season. Last year it took to like 20 some checks, 22 checks or something before I finally caught a fox, if I recall. I'm on check 8, so first fox of the year. He's pretty little. I would say a young one from this year. But yeah, like I said, glad to have him. Wish he'd kind of show you. He's not very red for a red fox. He's pretty orangey color, kind of light tawny color, which is pretty typical for fox in our area. But yeah, All right, we're gonna get him out of here. Like I said, it's chilly out here in the breeze. I'm basically to the next 2 traps after, well, actually literally the next trap that I could see after that raccoon was this trap. So, and I come down, I didn't mention it too, there is this 2-track road that comes up from the main road down here by this farm. So I don't know if the animals travel that road up to that farm but I don't think it's hurting my setup here. There's a lot of everything going on in this location. We got a nice drainage ditch going both ways. We got this road, and we got the land bridge where the animals can cross. Everything just kind of comes together to make this a good spot. So typically I catch coyotes out here. I have caught a couple fox over the years, and bing, first fox of the season. Pretty stoked about that, I'm not gonna lie. Even though he's pretty little, when I was coming up the road, I'm like, God, that looks something orangey laying by that set. And sure enough, when I got right here, then he got up. So we'll get him out of there, get this set remade. I'm down to, well, 6 coyote sets and about that many raccoon sets left to check. And then we'll be home. All right, guys, we made her home. Another awesome catch. I can't complain, I'll tell you. I mean, I could. I mean, look at all this other room I had. I could have stacked animals, you know. They could have been this high in there, but I feel like that's a pretty darn good catch right there. And it's funny because when I threw this little fox in there on top, I was like, you know, yesterday I just cleaned out my truck, so I had more room. Well, yeah, I had more room for activities, but all of a sudden, boom, I got her full anyway. So, I mean, my coyote bag, I normally set right here in the back corner, and tomorrow we're going to set my coyote bag up there. The whole back end of this truck is going to be full of muskrat traps. Probably up here, I'm going to stack some floats, beaver traps inside. But anyway, that's this later on this afternoon's project. So I probably made one of the quicker runs through the line today. Nothing seemed to be set off, other than what had catches in it. So, that always helps when I'm not doing a lot of extra maintaining. Dog proofs, the balls weren't knocked off really today. I think like 1 or 2. So, I mean, there's been days where it's been like dang near every one of them I've been getting out and putting the golf ball back on. So, just stuff like that. It's only a minute a set or 2 minutes a set, but when you add it up to be, the 40 sets, 50 sets, well, it ends up being, most of an hour I spend just doing that. So, yeah, so that didn't really happen today. I didn't have, and then coyote sets, I didn't remake any except for the ones that had catches in it, which were everything in my truck except for that skunk were caught in a coyote set. So 4 canines and 2 raccoons caught in coyote sets today, and then that skunk is up there in the bag. So we'll drag him out here a little bit, and I'll turn you guys back on and I'll kind of show you the catch, and we're gonna get to skinning. We're gonna skin everything right away here quick, and hopefully while I still got daylight, we're gonna run down to the trapping shed and we're gonna stack this thing full of water trapping gear. So, I mean, by full, I mean full. And probably I'll show you all that on tomorrow morning's video. Yeah, and with that, I did leave like some of my coyote gear in my side-by-side. I do have the 2 coyote sets in our land that I caught the badger in a couple days ago. I'm going to run and check those right away before I leave tomorrow morning. That way I know that they're checked, and if I have catches, I'll obviously take care of them and bring them home. But then I know when I'm running my line, I can kind of gauge my time, and I don't have to worry about spending 10 or 15 minutes trying to run over and check these in the dark. So, because that's my goal, is to not be checking sets in the dark. So we're gonna try and put in as many water traps as I can get out, with the idea that I need to be able to check the last little string of my line that's not any water sets while it's still light out. So, all right, like I said, we'll shut you off. We'll get these all kind of laid out so you guys can see, and we'll turn you back on. All right, so we got everything kind of laid out here. we'll just start on this end. We'll work our way this way. So, well, we'll start on this end. So right here we got ourselves a skunk that was caught in that back of that chicken coop again 2 days in a row in the same set. The skunks were roughly about the same size. They had the same kind of orangey tint to their stripes, which ain't great for selling them, but either way, nice skunk. He doesn't even stink at all, which is nice. I got him dispatched without him spraying in there again. And then we got the coyote here. The first coyote, he's definitely adult. Let's see if we can move this guy over just a little. You know, get him kind of, he's got beautiful thick fur. I mean, what you want a coyote to be. He's probably about as heavy and as nice looking of a coyote. I don't even feel a single burr in him, which is what you want. But yeah, beautiful coyote, definitely adult. In a set that I just put out there this year for the first time. So kind of kicking myself, like all these years I've been driving by that spot, never put a set there, and I got a raccoon and a coyote caught in that set now this year. Then the next one here I had caught by the end of those pine trees. These two I figured are both pups. You know, they're not a lot smaller, but like you look at like the body thickness, you know, he's well over 8 inches. This guy's about 8 inches or less. You know, so they're, I would say these two are pups. You know, and that one's a nice adult. And again, the fur difference is, you know, kind of tells me that too. Like this coyote's fur is only, you know, 1 inch long. This coyote's fur is like over 2 inches long. And typically pups will be that way. But yeah, this one here was caught in a dirt hole set next to the end of those pine trees. There's a pipe dream set there, and they had a coyote caught in, I think maybe the very first check. So glad to catch him. Like I said, they burnt off that wildlife right there, just to the west of there. And I think the coyotes use that tree line to run. There's a big wildlife to the east end of that pine tree row. When it hits the road and across the road, there's a big wildlife there. And then the one that they burnt off, and I think they used them pine trees as a travel corridor, but now they burnt that off. So I really don't know how that's going to affect things. I got 2 coyotes caught there already, so maybe not all that much, but maybe more than I think. You know, if they hadn't have burned it, could have been 4 coyotes instead of 2. That's the stuff that like keeps me awake at night. And then we got the third coyote here. Again, a nice light colored coyote, you know, comparatively to these two. You know, you can see that this one's quite a bit lighter in color. Again, just a pup. He looks a little scruffy because he's wet. And then he's got a few burrs, like in the side right here, there's a burr. And he's got some on top of his neck too, but yeah, quite a bit lighter coyote. You know, again, a small coyote. He's, I would say, a pup. So this coyote here was caught back behind that feedlot. There wasn't a lot of sign back there like there has been other years, but I caught 2 coyotes back there now and a raccoon. So, you know, not a lot of signs, still putting fur in the back of the truck, I guess. And then we got this guy. He is not very big. I mean, I think he's just a pup from this year. Again, I mean, he's a little wet. He's a little muddy back here on his butt. I don't think he's hardly got a burr in him the way he looks, other than he's just dirty. First fox of the year. He is really orange colored. I don't know how else to, you know, he just doesn't even have, like, normally I got a little bit darker red up in the front shoulders. He doesn't even really have that. He's 100% a prairie fox, I guess. Typically lighter colored. And again, his tail is just dirty. He's got, you know, a little white tip on there. But yeah, last year it took 20 some checks. I'd have to go back and look. It was like 22-ish, I think, someplace in there before I caught a fox. So, you know, and I wasn't thinking about today. I was thinking about yesterday, I believe, when I was driving around. I'm like, well, I got a badger caught finally, or not finally, but I got one caught. And then I actually was thinking, I'm wondering if there are any fox left in the country. You know, well, apparently there was one, and like I said, this is a pup, so apparently there was a pair of adults sometime this summer, this spring, and whatever. So, yeah, stoked about the fox. Again, I don't typically catch a lot of them, other than a couple years ago I caught quite a few, but I don't typically catch a lot. Like in that 3 to 5, maybe up as many as 8 is a lot for a season. So yeah, glad to have in this early in the season. It kind of takes a little pressure off, you know, that like, hey, I got one caught, you know. Next thing you know, the floodgates will open. I'll be catching one every check. And if I'm catching fox, that means there's not typically coyotes in that area. So, and that bridge where I caught the fox is usually kind of a coyote magnet. So, and I haven't caught any coyotes right around there. So maybe there isn't a lot of coyotes there. We're going to skip down to this guy here. This is the first raccoon, was caught out by that drainage ditch out there. Caught my coyote set. He is big. He's fat. And he's got beautiful fur. He's got a couple burrs over here in his back, but beautiful fur. He's got a little bit of a yellow streak down his back, but he's real silver, nice looking, you know, full guard hairs right to the end of his legs. Glad to see it, to be quite honest. You know, and if you get away from sloughs and that type of stuff in my area here, everything I say is kind of related to my trap line here. If I get away from sloughs, I will typically catch bigger raccoons, and most of the time they'll be males. And they're typically a lot better quality. If you're catching kits and you're catching females, typically the quality of fur will not be as nice as like what this one is. You know, nice, long, silky, full fur this time of year. Females sometimes are even still getting sucked on, it seems like, this time of year. So, and then we got this guy, was caught in a coyote set down by that slough down there in that pasture. Second raccoon in that same set. Had a pull out in the other set, and I had a skunk caught in the other set a couple days ago. So catching animals down there in my 2 coyote sets, but the frustrating part is I have a raccoon set right there trying to stop this from happening, but I'm still catching them in my coyote set. So the only thing now, I guess, is I could bank on could hope that a guy maybe could end up with a triple on raccoons, catch 2 in the coyote sets and then 1 in the raccoon set, but that'd be pretty awesome to see. It'd be my first triple ever if I ended up doing that. But anyway, yeah, pretty decent size. I mean, he looks small just because this guy's so big. This guy is well over 25 pounds. I don't have my scale out here, but he's well over 25. This one here is probably 22, 20-ish, if I had to guess. He's a big raccoon. He just, like I said, he looks small when he's next to that big guy. So, yeah, heck of a catch. I mentioned it this morning before I left. Colder weather typically brings on canine movement. I said coyote movement, but apparently the fox too, so we'll include him. The canine movement, when we get a little bit of a cold spell or it just cools off, it wasn't even that much. I mean, probably 7-8 degrees colder this morning than it has been. And I have a few less of the raccoon and skunk type catches and more canine catches. So as the weather fluctuates up and down, if it warms up, you know, where I have warmer nights, everything's about the night, you know, because the animals are moving during the night or early evening to early morning kind of deal. So overnight, if you get a little bit warmer night, like in the 40s, which should be having here in the next few days, you know, typically I'll probably catch a few more of the raccoons and skunks. And then if it dips down into the, you know, low 20s like it was this morning, usually that will bring on more canine catches. So, and I say usually, it's a general rule on my trap line. And then as we get colder, cold enough that, like, you know, it stays kind of below freezing, again, it just seems like those extra dips of a few degrees colder overnight will get the canines up and moving again. So, not saying they're not moving all the time, because obviously I've been catching them, but I feel like you get more traveling. It's a little colder, they get a little hungrier, you know, they gotta typically don't have a lot of fat, so they got to be eating more when it gets colder out. So they got to move to find it. All right, like I said, we're going to get after this stuff, start skinning right away here. The skunk, I'm actually going to skin him today, but I'm not going to peroxide bath with just the one. So I'm going to actually keep him, it's cold enough, I'm just going to set him on my table here in a Ziploc bag. And then if I catch any in the next couple of checks, then I'll peroxide bath him with them. Otherwise, I'll just freeze him like he is. Because honestly, he doesn't even smell. Rest of this stuff will all get skinned and froze tonight. And then, yeah, we're going to load up the truck with raccoon gear, or muskrat gear. And water trapping gear, because I'm going to throw a bunch of mink gear in here, and I'm going to throw a bunch of beaver gear in here. I'm going to put out at least 2 beaver sets tomorrow. Regardless of what else I get out, we're going to get 2 beaver sets in tomorrow. So that's high on my list of gear I want to get in here. But I do have a couple other spots where there are beaver. I'm just not as concerned about getting there before somebody else. I have one spot not too far from home here that, you know, nobody else probably even knows that beaver's there. Nobody drives by there type of deal. And then nobody traps in this area up closer to my house here. So, but down where the one beaver house is, there could be other people know of that beaver and do trap down in that area. So I want to get my traps there right away tomorrow. I don't think there's a lot of beaver there. It's probably just a pair if I had to guess, but we're going to throw my gear there and we're going to leave it for a few days, see what I could catch there. I'm not worried about trapping them out. I'm going to catch every beaver that's there, hopefully catch everyone that's there, which, you know, 2 or more would be great. Be worth my time at least putting all the sets there. I do have some other beaver houses and stuff that I know people want me to go look at or check. I'm going to wait till a little bit later into the week. You know, tomorrow, Saturday, is the start of the water season. I'm going to probably wait till like Monday or Tuesday to go set those. And then maybe run those until like Friday or so. That'll give me a good baseline of where the muskrat line's at and everything else. And then how much extra time I have to go set them. You know, and by then, again, landline may or may not slow down. I keep thinking every day that, you know, I just can't keep making catches like this because we got 7 animals again today. And it's been like 7 or 8 animals every check for the last bunch of checks here. So, of course, now it's going to start raining. But yeah, so we're going to set those 2 beaver sets tomorrow, I guess, is the gist of all of that. And then we're going to try and put out as much muskrat gear as I can get out before it gets dark. And then hopefully in the next few days I can add a little bit of muskrat and mink sets to the line. Yeah, I think that's all I really got for you on that stuff. Like I said, we're going to get skin in here and then we're going to get the truck loaded up and be ready to go right away. As soon as it basically breaks daylight tomorrow, we're going to start checking traps. So as soon as it gets to be legal time to set water sets, we're going to be basically setting at the first slough, ready to set as soon as it's time. So, you know, unless I have a bunch of land catches before that, then that'll slow me down a little bit. But, all right, one last look. Stinker over here, 4 canines, 2 big raccoons. Equals one heck of a day out on the line. Again, I just appreciate you guys watching my videos, riding around with me out on the line. We'll see you out on the line tomorrow.